Alright, where were we? What detailed plan did you make to go forward? It's interesting because in 2015, it really wasn't trying to maximize money. It was trying to do the opposite. So much of my life had been in school. I wanted time to like do other things and enjoy the day more. I was trying to play the minimum. So I knew about what I was making. I realized quickly Vegas is a different city. It wasn't going to be the same hourly as Milwaukee, but once I got a handle on what I was going to make, I was trying to play the minimum amount of hours to make what I needed and then maximize the rest of the day that was non-poker. I did hiking that first year. I was still going to the weight room. I was still golfing. So I was doing a lot besides poker and trying to like maximize enjoyment, not maximize money. A few more here. Any roadblocks while executing? So the first 7 weeks were amazing. For one, I got there during March Madness. Games were unbelievable. Games stayed very good, or I was happening to find good games all throughout April. And then in May, it wasn't as good, and also like every run out of every hand I played was as bad as possible. So that was annoying. Any one day isn't that annoying. When it happens for a long stretch, it's annoying. And that happened for about 2.5 months. May was very poor. I think my total was like minus 250. June was very poor. My total was minus 250. And it's not the difference between 0 and minus 250. It's the difference between what I expected to make that month and then minus 250. It's like thousands of dollars difference. And then June was minus 1200, which actually could have been way worse. I had like a killer day at the end of July. I had a killer day at the end of July in Aria. I remember the hand, Ace King of Diamonds, and I won a very large pot. And still minus 1200. So those 3 months were rough. It was rough not knowing when that stretch was going to end, because I never had a stretch like that last that many calendar days or that many hours. I had a couple bad stretches in Wisconsin. They weren't that long. So for 3 months, stuff like that was happening, and that was rough. It turned around in August, and fortunately, how good the games were and how good I was playing and how well I was table selecting and how good the runouts were in March and April, the first 7 months were so good that it wasn't really like worrisome for me financially. It was just more like, when is this going to end? There seems to be no end in sight. And so I got through money-wise. It was just like very unsettling not knowing when a stretch like that was going to be over. How was life working at UPS and playing poker? I don't know. Poker was getting a little boring, and then the first day at UPS, I wished I was back playing poker, because even though it was boring, it's like UPS is like real work. It's like in Rounders when Matt Damon and Worm are arguing about Knish, and Matt Damon says he hasn't had to work in 18. He hasn't had to work in 18 years, Worm. And Worm says, "You don't think that's work? What he does, grinding it out on his effing leather ass? No, thank you." And then Matt Damon says, "Yeah, I thought so too. Now I know what real work is." That was like the first day at UPS. Like, I thought it would be like cool doing something new and not just like going to casinos and sitting down all day. And like, it's demanding and fast paced, and you're not getting paid much money at all. And yeah, the first day I was like, I'd rather be playing poker than doing this. So it was all right. The timing worked out. Still playing in the evenings. So it was all right, but it wasn't. In 2015, it was for like a month, and then in 2016, it was for like 3 months. I was considering UPS full-time back then, so I wanted to like stay in like a positive light with UPS and help them out seasonally when they needed a lot of workers. In case I ever wanted to go full-time, they would see my work history with them and see that I was like coming back every year to work a little for them. So that's why I was doing it, and it was all right. And the last question as I get back to my car, when did I decide to go Nomad? Wasn't really a decision. I guess when law school was ending, if Corona didn't happen, I was planning on getting an apartment near Windstar. And then Corona happened. And then when things started reopening after Corona, I was at my parents' house in New York, and Maryland Live and the Horseshoe Baltimore Open, which wasn't far. I didn't want to go too far because I was worried everything might shut down again, so I didn't want to be too far from their house. So that's only like a 4 or 5 hour drive. So I went there not knowing how long it was going to be, if and when things were going to shut down again. So I got an Airbnb for like 2 weeks, and that was how I started off. Things didn't shut down, even though like the mask mandate did get more strict for a while and then relax a little. Like for a while we couldn't even drink bottles of water at the table. Masks had to be on every second. So we were kind of on the brink. They told the waitresses not to come in. We were kind of on the brink of things like shutting down again. So I was booking Airbnbs and like occasional motels, just like little by little. And I knew I'd be going back home for Thanksgiving. I knew I'd be back for Christmas and New Year's and everything. So I didn't want something permanent anyway. And then after the New Year, went down there again for a little bit, was kind of getting bored playing Baltimore. And then went to Vegas. Vegas was like reopened enough. I had a week booked. I didn't know how long I was gonna be there. I had a week booked, and then WinStar finally reopened 13 months after it closed. I was there the day it closed, playing in March 2020. And then when it reopened, I went back. So it was during that 1 week in Vegas when I heard it was reopening.
Oh, you might have.
So it was during that 1 week in Vegas when I heard it was reopening, and I made arrangements in WinStar, knowing I wouldn't be there forever. But I booked about 50 days, not all at once, but little by little, about 50 days. I thought I might be there about 3 months. I was there for about half of it. And then it wasn't the same as the last time I was there. Corona and the poker clubs in Texas changed things. And then I went back to Vegas, and I knew I wouldn't be there for that long. I was going back to New York for the holidays. So in June I was back in Vegas and stayed for a few months. And then 2020 was also the year the World Series was October. It was delayed, it was pushed back. So I knew I didn't like playing during the series, so I was there for like half of June, July, August, September, and then a little in October, and then left. And yeah, just like Corona and worrying things were gonna shut down again, and like enjoying the changing the cities, just kind of happened, and now it's my thing. So all the questions Jay-Z asked, and if you ever have questions, leave them in the comments. I often type out. If I can turn this into a video, I will. If not, I'll come back and just answer your question with a few sentences. Anything you want to ask, leave in the comments. So thanks for the questions, Jay-Z.
Yeah, I got it at the stadium in May.